Neighbors here at the Dunley subdivision in Dunkirk say large parties have been an issue at one particular house here for more than a year. But anxiety about the spread of COVID-19 added urgency to putting a halt to the latest event that was promoted on Eventbrite as the 4th annual Melanin Madness Pool Party, scheduled for tomorrow afternoon, with an advisory to guests that masks would be required and capacity would be limited.
Hundreds. It's not just 30, 40, it's a lot of people coming in here.
Neighbor Sonia Jones said she witnessed a party 2 weeks ago.
The people that I was coming in, none of them wear masks. None of them. I didn't see a single person wearing a mask.
Are you worried about the virus with
Yeah, of course I am.
Well, there's definitely a large crowd. They aren't social distancing. And it's a health hazard.
Calvert County Sheriff Mike Evans said there's a history of complaints about noise and parking here, but the virus adds to the public safety concerns, despite the invitation disclaimers that masks would be required and capacity would be limited. He says his deputies reacted when they discovered the party announcement online. A $35 charge was advertised.
I've had several of my staff talk to the homeowner and try to, express our concerns and the concerns she should have for her neighbors. And we're making some progress. We're hoping that we get another call today or tomorrow that maybe will eliminate some of our fears that the party's either been toned down or canceled altogether. But if not, we will make preparations to have enforcement action taken if necessary.
This afternoon, the home was visited by Maryland State Police. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan's Phase 2 reopening orders allow unrestricted gatherings at private homes, and Calvert County does not impose any local restrictions. But Evans said compliance with other local ordinances and state liquor law could be investigated. According to state property records, the house is owned by a bank in Salt Lake City. The former owners are retired NBA star Reggie Williams and his wife, according to the Sheriff's Department and state records. Mrs. Williams contacted WUSA 9 saying the advertisement for a party at the home she used to own was unauthorized and that she contacted promoters with orders to cancel it immediately. Today, the Eventbrite invitation had been taken offline. Mrs. Williams would not say who is living in the house right now. She did say that previous party complaints here in the neighborhood have been motivated by racism, which her neighbors deny. Authorities said no one at this house has ever been charged with a crime related to any of the previous parties, and it appears the next party is canceled. In Dunkirk, Scott Broom, WUSA 9.